You're well, and also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today we'll be doing our grade 2 English lesson on irregular past tense. And before we start with our lesson on irregular past tense, we're going to log into aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password. And then we're going to, once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of language arts. Grade 2. And once you've selected grade 2, we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of irregular past tense. All right, so our chapter is irregular past tense. Our subject is English, which is language arts. Grade 2. And the lessons that we're going to be focusing on today under the chapter of irregular past tense is to identify the irregular past. So we're going to identify the irregular past, which is going to be group 1 and group 2, which means we're going to expand on that. And then we're also going to form and use the irregular past. So we're first going to identify the irregular past tense, and then we're going to we basically are going to show how we're going to form and use the irregular past tense. All right. So when it comes to irregular past tense, right, then most verbs are regular in the past tense. So today's lesson is about irregular past tense, but before we get to irregular past tense, we're first going to have to understand regular past tense. So when it comes to regular past tense, in most verbs, right, they are actually regular in the past tense. And this specifically means that you need to follow a specific rule where they either say you need to add ed or you add d to your specific verb to either show the past tense form of that verb. So which means that if your verb is, for example, let's say jump, right? So if your verb is jump, then the rule for regular past tense, right, is to basically add ed or to add d. So which means that jump, right, if we need to show this in the past tense, we are going to say jump. And that means that we added an ed. The same with walk. If this is something we are doing now, I walk. But in the past tense, we're just going to add an ed and we say that I walked. right? So this is basically the regular past tense. So you basically follow a rule by either adding ed or by adding d to get the past tense form of the verb, and that is regular past tense. But then again, some of our verbs, they are irregular in the past tense, which means that they do not follow any rules. So they do not follow any rules by saying we add d or ed to our specific verb. You are going to have to just know for example, you're just going to have to remember the past tense form of the verb, because most likely the wording changes or certain words changes within that specific word when we basically try to form the irregular past tense. All right. So once again, some verbs are irregular, but that means that you don't have to follow a specific rule. Like we said, regular past tense, we follow a rule. Irregular past tense, we do not follow a rule. You're just going to have to remember the past tense form of the verb. And if we look at an example, right, of irregular past tense, we look at an example. It says here, Louise did his homework. So Louise did his homework. So did shows the past tense form, right? But if we were to write that sentence in the present tense, we would say Louise do his homework. Or it's basically saying he's doing his homework. So do is actually our present tense form of that verb. So he does his homework, or he do his homework, or he's doing his homework. But the past tense of do is did. And as you can see, the wording has changed from do to did. All right, so now we're going to look at a few examples, right? These two are together, these two are together, and these are together. So one of the sentences, right, is in the present tense, and then the other one is irregular in the past tense. And if we look at the first sentence, it says, the girls go to school. So go is our verb. So go is our verb, right? But irregular in the past tense, We can say the girls went to school. And can you see how the wording or the spelling of the words even changed? We did not follow any rules. We did not add ed. We did not follow d, right? We just had to remember the past tense form. So by saying the girls go to school, which is showing something that is happening now. But in the past, we say the girls went to school. All right, look at the next one. It says, the children do silly dances. So the children do silly dances. So the word do is our verb. It's something that they're doing now, right? So we now need to change that word do into our past tense verb, specifically irregular past tense verb. So if we change that to the past tense, we're going to say, the children did silly dances. And it's like our example over here. So the children do silly dances shows now in the present. But in the past, we say the children did silly dances. Did shows something that happened already in the past. And as you can see, the wording has changed, or the spelling has changed of that word. And that is why we say that we do not follow any rules when it comes to irregular past tense. We just going to have to remember the past tense form. All right. The children sit on the porch. Sit on the porch. So the word sit, it's our verb, it's our doing word. And if we change that word sit to the past tense, specifically irregular, and then we're going to say the kids sat on the porch. So now the kids sit on the porch, but in the past, the kids sat on the porch. So which means that the past tense form of the word sit is sat. And as you can see, if you look at these words that is underlined, or let's say circled, which is go. Go is something that you're doing now, which is in the present. But in the past, go, the verb of go is went. And can you see how the wording changes from go being now to went, which is in the past? So the spelling changes. That is why it is called irregular past tense. We do not follow any rule. You must just remember the past tense form of the verb. The same with do. The children do silly things. It's things that they are doing now. But the past tense form, right, we say that the children did silly things. So the past tense of do is did. And the wording or the spelling changes from do to did. The same with sit, right? Sit is our present tense. The kids sit on the porch. But in the past, the kids sat on the porch. So which means that our wording changed from sit to sat. The past tense of sit is sat, which means that we basically, it's like one word, one letter changed. So the spelling changes of these words. So all you need to do is you're going to have to remember the past tense form of the verb. And that is when it comes to irregular past tense. There's no rule that we follow at all. You are just going to have to remember the past tense form. Right? And we are doing our tutorial lesson on aplusstudents.ca. So that is where we're going to do our tutorial lesson as well as our tests. And before we go to aplusstudents.ca, let us just look at a few irregular verbs, right? All right, if we look at this at a few words, right? Heard. If we look at the first word, heard. These are all words in the past tense already, irregular past tense forms or verbs. So we're going to try and find or write down the present tense verb of these past tense verbs. So if we look at the word heard, I heard that you are going to the beach. So in the past tense, I heard that you are going to the beach. And if we try to find the present tense form of this word heard, then we can say it is here. So I hear you going to the beach, which is now present tense. But in the past, I heard you going to the beach. The present, I hear you going to the beach. In the past, I heard you going to the beach. All right, if we look at this word fed, fed. She fed the dog yesterday. Or she fed the dog this morning. Because still it is something that happened in the past, right? If it is afternoon now, anything that happens in the morning or that happened in the morning, it is now in the past. So she fed the dogs this morning, but now we can say she feed or feeds the dog. So feed or feeds is the present tense form of the word fed, which is in the past. Our past tense is drove. So drove. They drove us to the airport yesterday. Or we drove to the airport yesterday. So drove is our verb in the past tense. But if we show the present tense, then we can say it is drive. So drive is in the present tense, whereas our past tense is drove. And if we look at the past tense form of the verb, we can say lost. I lost my puppy at the beach. And if lost is in the past tense, then we can say at the moment I lose my puppy. Oh, let's go double O. And then the next one is slept. And slept is in the past tense. I slept very well last night. But now I sleep very well. Sleep is in the present tense. I got party packets. That's in the past. Now I get nothing. Get is now. I was stung by a bee. In the present tense, we can say I was sting. Sting is it's now. Fought, something that you did. Fight, it's something that you do now. And I fell yesterday and hurt my ankle. And today I fall over the sandals. So this is but a few examples of the present tense forms, right? Whereas the words over here in the box, those are all irregular past tense form. And as you can see, based on some of the examples that we made where we show the present tense, the wording or the spelling of the words, they change. All right, so now we're going to aplusstudents.ca. And we're going to the first lesson under irregular past tense, which is to identify the irregular past tense. And we see that most verbs, right, are regular in the past tense, which means that they follow a specific rule by adding D or ED, right? to show the form of the verb. However, most of the or some of the other words, or let's say the verbs, are irregular in the past tense, which means that they don't follow any rule. Instead, you're just going to have to remember the past tense form of the verb. So we now need to say which sentence is in the past tense, right? So if we look at the sentence that says, Kayla finds my lost key. If we change that word, especially finds, to the irregular past tense, then we're going to say, Kayla found my lost keys. So found being the past tense irregular verb of finds. So basically, this word found, it is the past tense irregular verb of the word finds. So finds being our present tense and found being our past tense. All right. Let's go on to the next one. The girls get ready to go just to go. So the girls get ready to go. We need to basically find the past tense of get. So the girls get ready to go, which is now. But in the past, we can say the girls got ready to go. So now the girls get ready to go, but in the past, the girls got ready to go. And as you can see, how the spelling is also changed between those two words, whether it's by one letter. So got is the past tense form of get. So in the barn, we hear owls. So in the barn, we hear sounds. That is now in the present. In the past, so in the barn, we hear owls. And if we change this word hear to the past tense, the whole sentence, we can say, in the barn, we heard owls. So heard being our irregular past tense verb. from year being the present tense form to heard being our past tense form. So year is a present tense of heard, which is in the past. So now we're going on to our test. So now we're going to say which sentence is in the past tense. Try to look at the wording, specifically in bold. Mandy found pennies on the ground, or do we say Mandy finds pennies on the ground? Which one is the correct word? So Mandy found pennies on the ground, or do we say Mandy finds pennies on the ground? We need to select the past tense form. Is it found or finds? And if we change, or more like if we select the past tense, right? And then we're going to say Mandy found pennies on the ground. Found. Because finds is now. But in the past tense, Mandy found pennies on the ground. And found is correct. So finds being now, but in the past it is found. Let's go to the next one. The next one says, the girls got ready to go. Or do we say the girls get ready to go? And if we choose the correct sentence, which is in the past, so we can then say, in the past, the girls got ready to go. So got being our past tense verb. So which sentence is in the past tense? Is it the barn in the barn we heard owls, or in the barn we hear owls? Is it something you heard or something you're currently hearing? You hear. And if we basically select to choose the past tense form, right? So we need to basically choose the word in the past tense. So that option one, which says that we heard owls. So in the barn, we heard cows. And then we also have in the barn, we hear owls. So which sentence is in the past tense? Is it heard or hear? And if we select the one that shows the past tense, we can say, in the barn we heard owls. Heard, not hear, heard. All right. So it says the sentence is in the. We need to choose a sentence that's in the past tense, right? But now it says the birds flew above the river, or the birds fly above the river. We need to choose the one sentence that shows the past tense verb. So if we want to select the past tense of one of the sentences, we can say the birds flew above the river, flew above the river instead of fly. And this is basically just like a continuation of identifying the irregular past tense. All right, so we can say flowers grow in the garden. And if we change that word to the past tense, so grow, and our sentence is flowers grew in the garden. So grow being the present tense form, grew being the past tense form. All right, let's go to the next one. It says, Dad and I ride bicycles. This is now in the present tense, ride bicycles. So we can say Dad and I ride our bicycles, which is now, but in the past, all right, in the past, we can say Dad and I rode bicycles. And we already did the grow and the grew. Let's go to our test on identifying irregular past tense. So we're going to have to choose the sentence that is in the past tense. Ben throws rocks into the pool, into the pond. So throws is something that you're doing now. But in the past, Ben threw rocks into the pond. So after breakfast, I leave my house. But in the past, after breakfast, I left my house. And if we look at the past tense sentence, right, we can say that after breakfast, I left my house. Left. So left is the correct word because leave is the present tense form. So we need to say which one is in the past tense. The strong wind blows our hair. So blows, the strong wind in the past, blow. So the strong wind blew our hair. So blew is basically our past tense form. And blue is correct. The children begin school this year. So they begin school this year, or we can say the children began school. So the children began school this year. All right. So we can now say which sentence is in the past tense. Martha keeps rabbits in a cage, or Martha kept rabbits in a cage. So either keeps or kept. So keeps being now in the present tense, but in the past tense, we can say Martha kept rabbits in a cage. And kept shows the past tense form of the word keeps. All right, let's do one more. Which sentence is in the past tense? All right, the tired children fell into bed. They were so tired that they fell into bed. So the children fell into bed. So the past tense form of that word is the children, or let's say the children fall. It is now. In the past, the children fell into bed. But today, the children fall into bed. So fell into bed is our past tense verb. All right. So this is now the end of our lesson on irregular past tense. We see that some verbs are irregular, right? Meaning that they don't follow any rules like add ed or add d. And when it comes to past tense verb, irregular verbs, right? Sometimes the wording changes, right? Spellings changes. So which means that with the fact that it does not follow any rules, you are just gonna have to know. You're just gonna have to know what the specific past tense verb is. Because like we said, there's no following of rules. And usually with irregular past tense, you always have certain wording that changes. All right. So that is now the end of our lesson on irregular past tense. Thank you very much, grade twos, for joining our class. Till next time, goodbye.